It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to 5. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
In this short episode, we are drinking the classic wines from Jordan Vineyards and Winery in Healdsburg, California, and sharing what's on our Wino Radar these days. And we also want to wish everyone a happy food coma and say gobble, gobble, or more like maybe a bourbon coma for Val.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm probably going to start drinking earlier that day. But whether you're listening and drinking like me on our American eating holiday known as Thanksgiving or anytime thereafter or before, because our patrons have the option to do so, we want to give thanks to all of you for making this podcast a success and a real joy to create every week, again, while we're drinking. So with our most sincere gratitude, we are raising our glasses to each and every one of you, wherever you are, celebrating or not. Thank you. Cheers, Steph.
Yay.
Let's kick it off. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, I'm sipping. Yes.
And yeah, we both have a different bottle of Jordan in front of us. I am drinking the white version, the Chardonnay, and Val has got their iconic Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yes, this is a gorgeous wine, and I wish we could be sampling them both together. But the fact is, we couldn't. But Jordan only makes two wines. This here Cab and that there Chard that Steph has. Now, they do have the Champagne House that makes wines for them as well. Their Jordan Cuvée, however, is a champagne from, you guessed it, Champagne. And there are other things that they grow. Like they grow a little Petit Verdot and they grow a few other things. But their main wines are pretty much this Cabernet and their Chardonnay. And that's what's on their website. So this is a 2013 Alexander Valley, and it is still young, I think. I think it's kind of that sine curve, young to ready to drink. And I think Jordan wants their wines ready to drink. So the tannins are still a little bit fine-grained on this. And once you get a piece of cheese, though, it's ready for food. So this is a nice wine. I think it'll last a couple more years. It's really concentrated, really dark berries, dark fruit, a little bit of tartness that I like in a Cabernet. I don't want it to just be mouth-coating, but it's pretty good breakfast wine.
Good. Did you Coravon it?
No, I didn't. I actually opened it.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
So John's going to have some tonight, hopefully. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to make with it, but there will be cheese.
I love cheese. That's good. And I love this wine. I'm having the 2015 Chardonnay, Russian River Valley. This wine, I know this sounds like so yogi, but seriously, like I had it out of the fridge for about 30 minutes and I tasted it this morning at like 10 a.m. When I put my nose into the glass, this is what I wrote on the paper. The space behind my heart just relaxed.
Right on.
What do you think about that, huh? That is my like total yogi description. No, but
Namaste, girl. Namaste Chardonnay.
Namaste Chardonnay. That's totally. But I also put, so it's got like some ginger, vanilla, tart lemon custard, very zesty and has some nice spice notes. And then on the palate, I just kept putting like mouth-watering, licking your lips, savory, lingering finish. And when I started to write perfect for day drinking, and then I started like writing which parts of the day ended up being every part of the day. So, I think this is just drink this wine, period. Maybe the space behind your heart feels better.
They use oak really smartly, kind of the way they do in Burgundy. They don't overdo it, so it's not going to be this chewing on a 2x4 lumberyard. It sounds like a really elegant integration of French oak, and it sounds like my kind of Chardonnay. Maybe barrel fermented, totally. I'm not sure.
Yeah, some. And Jordan's description on their website says that this particular vintage is more Chablis-like.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find a vintage. I found a vintage description, but I couldn't find the wine description. But that's okay. I can make my own happen. That's why I went to school. So
that's right. And then the other thing I thought that was cool on the website is they said that this particular vintage of the Chardonnay, again, it's 2015, that they had enjoy through 2022. So a 7-year drinking window that they recommended for the Chardonnay, which I think is helpful. But I just loved, it felt like drinking daylight. I just loved this wine. And then I wanted to share a little mini factoid, and we'll have a photo also in the blog, because I got to meet Rob Davis and take a picture with him. He is the winemaker at Jordan, and I took one of his classes, seminar. And then, of course, I was like fangirling afterwards. And I'm like, okay, well, we have the same last name, first of all. And then I was like, can I please take a picture with you? But what's neat is that Rob's been making Jordan since they got started in 1976. So since the very beginning. And he's the longest tenured winemaker in Sonoma County, so that's pretty neat. And then I did steal something off the website, because there's a quote from him that says, I went to 2 schools to learn about winemaking. The school at Davis, referring to UC Davis, actually, and the school of Andrei Chelichev. So I thought that was really cool. He has some amazing history and experiences. And I watched there's a short 3-minute video with him on the website that really kind of explains a lot about who he is, what he does, and the significance of it all. So very cool. I love these Jordan wines.
Once again, you're seeing Valerie learn how to use a website live. But I did find the 2013 and what Rob Davis wrote about it. And he said this is one of the richest, most complex Jordan he've ever tasted upon release.
Wow.
That was what he said about the 2013. And it is a $65 bottle, girl.
Yeah.
This will be a long-lived vintage.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really extraordinary. And, we're really grateful that they shared them with us. And this Chardonnay is a $32 bottle. But, because this episode is releasing on Thanksgiving, not only are we thankful for these samples and the experience to do this, but I think, these are great wines to share when you've got multiple people around a table to say, hey, let's open something really special. Like, these are the kind of wines I think that really shine, at those times when you're with people who care about being together and creating memories. So,
and cheese.
And cheese.
In this case, the Coco Rub Bella Vitano. Amazing with this wine.
Yeah.
Yes. Good job, Steph.
Well, so should we move on to some more of our updates and Wino Radars?
Yes. Where are we going next? The W25 Challenge update. I did a scrub of the social media spaces again. I put in our hashtag W25 Challenge, and I realized there was one that we missed. Did we see this Moresco by Lynn?
Oh, I don't think so. Let me look here.
It was in the group, the private group. And, I don't go on Facebook as much as I should. And Lynn had, from Savor the Harvest, Lynn had been to Puglia recently with Katerina and the gang. They were at the Radici de Sud, which means the roots of the South. And so they were there doing some wine tasting. And she came across this sparkling wine made with this grape, this Moresco grape, and it was made in a metodo ancestrale, which means an ancestral method, and that was probably way back in our Bubbles episode. We talked about that. But the grape, formerly known as Marugio, is the grape of this sparkling wine that she posted, and she wrote a whole article about it. So I have a link to her blog. I'm just digging. So I'm just going to link it up so y'all can read and dig for yourselves. So that is the only new Wine to 5 Challenge update I have found for the month of November so far.
Well, okay. Well, thanks, Lynn, for sharing that. And that looks totally obscure and totally geeky.
We're down.
We're totally down. And we're also down for the relatively new podcast by Jack Maxwell, which you might know as the Booze Traveler from the Travel Channel. So now he's got his own show that's called I Don't Drink Alone with Jack Maxwell.
Yeah, I didn't know that was out there until you mentioned it, because I actually do have Booze Traveler in my DVR, or I did with the old seasons. He's known as Southie Jack because he's from the Southie. There's a part of Boston, I guess, the south side of Boston. They call him Southie Jack, and he kind of grew up in the bars there. So he travels around and he tries all these beverages. And I would say he's responsible for some of the things we do have in our bar, like the Yennever or some of the liqueurs that we have that we'd seen on a show. It's like, well, we must drink it. So I'm cheers to Southie Jack and another booze podcast. I'm down.
Yeah, totally. We'll have to see if Jack wants to be on this show, and then maybe we
that would be so cool.
That would be so cool. So, yeah, so more to come on that. And then also, speaking of podcasts, we were guests on One Bourbon, One Shard, One Beer twice. And both of those episodes are now available for downloading. Laughing with, not at us, of course, but they're hilarious, super entertaining. And Kern and Stubb, they now have their own website up, so you can go listen. It's just game show shenanigans. I mean, you just have fun with it. My Justin was trying to concentrate, and I had it playing, and he couldn't help but like chime in every once in a while and like just look at me and shake my head. I was like, what? But it's entertaining. It's fun. And so we just wanted everybody to go check those out, too.
I think that's the only show that I actually swear at one of the hosts, but, he dissed the Scorpions. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But,
That's
right.
right.
I did the same thing with Nirvana. What are you going to do? No, it was a lot of fun to drive around and listen to as you get the music going. And they do a good job of balancing out the audio as far as the level of the music with the talking and commentary that happens over top of it.
Yeah, the way the volume of the music is perfectly balanced with the talking.
So you can bop and you can listen and you can scream at them at the same time. I highly recommend One Bourbon, One Shard, One Beer, particularly the last two episodes, but I liked all of the episodes that I've heard. So they're a lot of fun. Shout out to those guys. And then, of course, I have a Wino Radar plus shout out combo, if you will, because thanks to Polly Legendre, I hope I pronounced your name right, she hooked us up with an advanced viewing of the recently released 3 Days of Glory. It was launched over the weekend, the third weekend in November, and is now available on iTunes or Apple or whatever the hell they're calling it now. But it is a beautifully filmed documentary about the 3 Days of Glory in Burgundy. For those who don't know what that is, it's called Le Trois Glorieuses, and it is a celebration of harvest. It starts with a wine auction and then goes to a dinner, and it is just 3 days of celebrating the Burgundy winemakers and all the offerings of harvest. And they usually bring in a guest chef. I mean, it's just something you really, really have to see. And there are traditions dating back to, I believe, the 13th century, if not before that. But the documentary itself is also how family vintners are facing climate and land prices and other challenges. Steph, you got to see it before I did. I finally watched it last night. And I'm kind of curious if you had any special notes or your favorite parts of 3 Days of Glory.
I just learned a lot. I didn't have any idea like how much the climate was impacting Burgundy, not just recently, but over the last vintages. They have some great information they share on this film. And really how my feelings were, connecting with these families and that whole like human connection with farming, small business owners, bills to pay, families to feed, some of that stuff that you don't really think about when you think about winemaking. Sometimes it just gets so romanticized that people aren't really thinking about the hardships of it being an agricultural business, that some of these people own these lands and own their own winery, and multiple vintages can put them out of, bad vintages can put them out of business.
Absolutely. And there are some historical lessons to be learned here as well. And like Steph said, this is an industry. It is a business. So in addition to this documentary's points, as far as the rising land prices, the climate issues that people all around the world are dealing with as far as their wine regions go, but this is some of the most expensive wine land in the world. But there is some food for thought there about money and greed, which is a recurring theme in the wine world, as we're starting to see. But I adored the ending. I really love the ending. I think my favorite line was, "Stop, c'est du vin." Stop. It's just wine.
Yeah.
When the bottle prices get to be over thousands of dollars. But I love the ending. We're not spoiling it. We're going to just link up the Apple link for you and let you go check it out if you've got something to do over this weekend. For some of you, it's going to be a long weekend. The movie is just over an hour. I'd recommend pouring a glass and checking it out.
Check it out. Help your food coma along. Maybe have a shot of Underberg and
yeah,
help your food coma along and watch a really great documentary about Burgundy. That would be good. So we should move on to shout outs, I think. Yep. Because we have these beautiful wines from Jordan, we want to give a shout out to Lisa Matson. She had spent some time with us back in episode 120 because she works for Jordan Vineyards and Winery. She also is an author, and there's so much to learn about her, so you can check out that old episode.
Follow their Twitter feed as well. I'm a big fan of their Twitter feed and their videos. And I'm also a big fan of our show sponsor, which is Weekly Tasting from Wine Still Sold Out. Weekly Tasting offers the perfect way to discover your next hashtag W25 Challenge wine. Each offering includes tasting cards and recipes, and these wines are handpicked by esteemed experts. And we talked about that last week because these ladies also help create fun videos to guide you through the wines. Our favorite part, no membership, no commitment.
Yes, that is really good. And you can go to your listener page at weeklytasting.com/W25 to sign up and get started, or just go to our webpage and click on the links that we have for you there. It's time for Patreon love. Hit it, Val.
Our Reserva Superiore supporter, thank you, Robin Sauls from Girls Gone Grape. Our Reserva supporter, Auntie in Georgia. And our tenacious tasters, Jeff E. from the hilarious and award-winning We Like Drinking podcast, Sebastian of Sassy Italy Tours, Jen in Maryland, Dave and Lisa in Illinois, Anne Marie in Virginia, Lynn of Savor the Harvest blog, and Sharon in Florida.
And it's not 5 o'clock and we don't care, listeners. In South Dakota, Meg. In Arizona, Clay. In California, John, Andrew, Aswani, and Kristen. Chantel in Ontario, Canada. Mary Lou in Pennsylvania. Kathy in Georgia. Chris, Janet, and Diane in Colorado. Steve and Renee in Illinois. Kathy in Tennessee. Sean in Ohio. And Ashley and Sarah in North Carolina.
And our Tastemaker listeners, David in Scotland, Carol in Kentucky, Karen in California, Chip and Katie in Pennsylvania, Serena in New York, Annie in Colorado, and Danielle. Go to wine25.com and click on support to show your support and find more details on all the things that we discuss in this podcast.
And between our weekly episodes, you can find goodies on our website, wine25.com, or find us on the social spaces at wine, TWOFIVE. And next week, we have some burning wine questions to answer, and please send them in. And it will also be time for our monthly Patreon drawing. So cheers! Happy Thanksgiving!
Thank you for listening to the Wine to Five podcast.
Cheers, hon.
Cheers.
Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.